But Zelda is an online platform that provides free career guidance to high school students and matches them to scholarships for university. Now, my home country, South Africa, is the most unequal country on the planet. 600,000 students finish high school every year, but 90% of those won't get any kind of tertiary qualification, even though we know that a university degree is still one of the best investments that a young person can make. So our mission is to try and reduce that inequality by providing students with access to the tools and information they need to unlock their true potential. Because we know that 80% of students in South Africa actually can only access the internet through mobile, we've designed our platform specifically for students using low data, low-end mobile devices, specifically so that we can reach students in rural and hard-to-reach areas. Our platform provides access to personality assessments that, combined with machine learning, actually help students understand more about themselves, provides access to basic content so that students can prepare for and cope while at university. But most importantly, it provides access to a curated list of scholarships that are matched to a student's personality and interests. So this is free for students forever because we're trying to improve access. But how do we make money? In South Africa alone, over $1 billion is spent every year on scholarships. But one of the big problems that these companies are having is that these scholarship providers are having is that they can't reach the right students in rural areas, and they struggle to manage the application process. So next month, we're releasing our online SaaS portal so that companies can pay per student to actually reach students in rural areas and actually improve access to education, but so that they can easily manage the application process through an online platform. Our team, we're a group of engineers who met while we were studying at the University of Cape Town. We all have a very personal connection to education. In fact, we were at UCT when the Fees Must Fall protests were happening. We also have a number of angel investors based in Cape Town, and an advisor, including Max Price, who was the ex-vice chancellor of the university. So we really know what's going on in the university landscape. We also have a partner distribution network, so we can reach hundreds of thousands of students in South Africa. And we've just joined the Google Launchpad Accelerator so that we can improve our business development, but also improve our machine learning to reduce any bias and make sure that students are getting the right kind of advice. And all of these people have joined us in our vision to actually give students the tools that they need. We envision a world of democratized education where opportunity is not based on thanks, Justine. We envision a world of democratized education where opportunity isn't based on your circumstance, but based on your choice and your ability. We're focused now on the million students in South Africa, but we want to move into the tens of millions of students in Africa that need our support. Thank you.
Okay. Malik.
Thank you for your pitch. You said university degree is the best investment. Could you please justify that? Because I'm actually not a believer that university is the answer to everything. And on the contrary, I'd rather see post-16 education, go. Yeah.
So I agree that it's a contentious point. And one of the things we firmly believe in is that university isn't necessarily the only way. I, in fact, as one of the co-founders, don't have a degree. I don't think it's always the best choice. But particularly in countries with high inequality like South Africa, having a degree still has a very, very high return on investment. So in more developed countries where opportunity is more abundant, it's not always the best choice. But in very unequal countries, university degree still makes a massive difference to getting people out of poverty.
Great. Thank you very much. Zelda.
Cool. One person.
Cool. Thanks. Actually, where's my thing? Okay. Next up is Augli. Go for it, Augli.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. So this story is about 3 pivots: access, knowledge, and the future readiness. With low cost of data and high smartphone penetration, access has reached every section of the society. But with knowledge reaching them, it's important to figure out that the right knowledge is reaching them. Knowledge about environment, education, knowledge about what's happening on the world. So that's the second pivot. And then knowledge reaches them. How do you make sure that they are processing that knowledge to make meaningful connections in the ecosystem? The future skills of communication and critical thinking have been called out as being paramount importance to be able to do this. by OECD, WEF, in fact, the Singularity University as well. So hinged on these 3 pivots, we created Ogly. It's an AI-enabled platform that combines knowledge and skills every day. I'm Anjali Tiwari, the founder of Ogly, and it's my pleasure to tell you about our experiment at the Haim-Gold School, where the migrant laborers' children come in from the remotest parts of the country to study. So let's talk about our 11-year-old Nitin, who was given access to Ogly. He could read curated current affairs every day that were contextualized and localized to him. He could select his interests, but based on his level of comprehension, we gave him gamified activities to do. Last 2 months have shown a progress in terms of his mastery of skills, grammar, and his general awareness to be able to confidently express his views. Just getting instant feedback with Ogly on his thinking and fluency is a delight for him and his peers. In fact, just to ensure that the whole ecosystem comes into play to sustain this learning behavior, our B2C module, which is subscription-based, allows the child to engage with the parent by way of a reward pact. The child is actually able to design the game and have meaningful conversation with their parents. So our state-of-art technologies in terms of NLP, machine learning, and peer-to-peer communication will see Ogly evolve as a platform that people will use to have dialogues across the geographies, and hence Ogly has designed to be global in nature. It is adaptable to most languages at a switch of a button. So we're starting out of India, but we will expand to Southeast Asia and other geographies over the years to come. We are well backed by advisors, investors in design, pedagogy, and more importantly, thinking and articulation. And between me and my co-founder, we've got close to 25 years of managerial experience of having built many firsts, along with a edtech startup that we had earlier. So we are well set on this journey, and we firmly believe ideas do change the world. So join us on that journey to give that power across to your geographies and ecosystems. Thank you.
Question?
I didn't get, sorry. In how many countries are you operating?
Right now, we have just started with India.
With India, okay, thank you.
You do the judges. Go.
Any further questions, judges?
Oh, that was the answer? Wow, that was the shortest answer in the world. Okay. You sure you don't want to say anything else?
Yes, right now we are in India. That's the...
I need you to hand out the judges. Okay. Right, thank you very much, Owgley. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you.
Next now, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Wisenose.
Wisenose created the Web for Classrooms, a curated version of the internet, giving schools access to relevant, reliable, and readable information online. 800 million students have internet at their school, yet for 85% of those students, the internet is not efficient for their school or homework. Why not? Because they simply cannot find the right information. We solved that problem. Let me tell you how. The Web for Classrooms gives access to relevant information instead of all the commercial information you get through Google or Baidu. The classroom of today and tomorrow should not be driven by advertisement. Secondly, the Web for Classrooms gives access to reliable information instead of all the fake news and strong opinions that are not suitable for a classroom environment. But the biggest change is that the Web for Classrooms gives access to readable results instead of web pages that are way too difficult to read and understand. The average reading skills of students are at an elementary school level. Yet only 20% of all the information online is written for these students. So that's why we created a content collection of more than 12 million trustworthy resources today and growing every day, based on the latest development of artificial intelligence and all checked by teachers. Applicable for all students, from primary to secondary, all the way up to vocational education and beyond. And guess what? that really improves their learning outcomes. Our study proves that 91% of the students who had access to the web for classrooms had better learning outcomes. In the Netherlands, where we started, we now reach 76% of all schools after 2 years of selling. The UK is rapidly approaching that number through a marvelous customer like Pearson Education. And we're selling into India through our partnership with the Aga Khan Foundation. So in short, the Web for Classrooms is all about an inclusive internet for all students in a very scalable way, giving students the access to have a future, a brighter future, leaving nobody out. Thank you.
Yep.
So I can't imagine an NLP application or any other application that would automatically choose these web pages. It has to be a person doing this, and so I'm wondering how this would scale.
Well, it's a combination of artificial intelligence, and we're checking that with humans. So what our technology does, we identify websites that are written for a student in mind, and then we ask the teachers community to help us whether this is a reliable and relevant source for in the classroom. If they approve it, we add it to the content collection. So it's a combination of AI and people.
And teachers are paid for this?
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're absolutely driven by the fact that they really like to have relevant and reliable information for their students.
Thanks very much, Wise Nose. Thank you. Next up is Aveti. Off you go.
The story of Abheti learning is a story of hope for millions of children around the world. A girl like Sunita, daughter of a poor farmer, struggles at her school. It's not because that Sunita is not bright, but because the quality of education she received at school. And sadly, Sunita is not alone. As per the latest government report, 70% in grade 3 cannot subtract, 50% in grade 5 cannot read. And these numbers are worse if you consider rural and less privileged India, that is Sunita's India. I know all of this because I was one of those kids. I know how hard to get qualified teachers to these rural areas. And most of these kids learn in the local language where quality content does not exist. That's why we have created Abheti Learning, so that every children get a chance to succeed. And this is how it works. First, we have created engaging and interactive e-learning content, thousands of video lectures and assessment units, all in accordance to the local syllabus and all in local language. That's the key. As internet and electricity can be unreliable, if available at all, that's why we have created this Abheti Learning box that can provide self-paced learning and adaptive learning to these kids in the last mile. The magic part of Abheti Learning involves our facilitator, and this is where our program stands out. Many young women like Amita today are running an Abheti Learning Center in their village. Previously, Amita was educated but unemployed. Today, thanks to Abheti, Amita is running her own small business, facilitating 70 students every day. And today, Amita is not only making a living for her family, but also a change agent in the community and a role model for her students. And using this model, in just 15 months, we have reached out to 102 e-learning centers all across the state of Odisha in eastern India, reaching out to 7,000 students every day. And we are just getting started. And we had a big, hairy, audacious goal to reach out to next billion students who are in a similar situation like Sunita, eager to learn but never got a chance. And all we need is your support to lift them up, one Sunita and one Amita at a time. Thank you.
Judges,
Thank you. You are now in 102 centers. How many new centers, how many new people do you need to recruit in order to reach 1 million learners?
So we have 60,000 villages in Odisha, and there are 600,000 villages in India. So we just need marketing budget to reach out to these villages, and make a capacity building so that we can hire these kids like Amita. Maybe America is making most software, Japan may be making car. In India, we have 1.2 billion people. With 1.2 billion people comes in the kind of, the kind of scale that can possible, this kind of human plus technology can only possible in India. Just in 15 months, we reached 202 with 7,000 students. And this is just we're starting as we had built the technology and then, a little bit of technologies, scale and all these things. Now we are in a prime target to reach out to, like, within the next 3 years, we can reach out to 1 million students in the state of Odisha out of, in India.
Great, thank you very much, Aveti. Next up is Wetu. Off you go.
Hi, my name is Ignacio Bulen from Argentina. Collective problems are really hard to solve. Collective problems such as human rights violations or environmental issues or corruption, especially in emerging countries. And we have two choices or two options on how to approach them. Either we give all the power to some individuals, usually known as politicians, to let them make the choice, or we can try to give everybody the possibility to be involved in the solution. But to follow the second path, we need to give people the right tools. We need to give people the possibility of learning how to address collective problems, and that's how Wetu gets into the picture. Wetu was founded by 2 lawyers and 1 biologist, and you may say, well, that's weird, a lawyer doing a good thing for the world, but actually we are not technology experts or even education experts, although we do teach in the university. But we do know about justice, and we do know about human rights. We do know about environmental issues. So Wetu, based in our previous experience, builds online programs that address these kind of problems, and which are taught by subject matter experts, which receive some part of the benefits of the program, and these programs are certified by usually an institution or a university. The solution works 2 ways. For students, they receive high quality but low cost education with a certification, and for experts, they receive money from the revenues of the program as well as the institutions. And business is doing really well. We have grown. Last year, we had revenues for $200,000. We think this year we'll have $1 million in revenue from more than 40 countries and 200 cities. We are launching our new English section with Columbia University, focusing in Africa and India. And the best thing of all is that we think that every Wetu student is changing its own community, and that's a real change. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you. Can you share a bit more about the distribution model that you're following? And how does it differentiate from other competitors that you have in the field?
Sorry?
And how does it differentiate from the other competitors that you have in the field?
Okay. So first of all, we differentiate from other competitors in which, for example, we provide both certified learning by an institution, usually a university, but at the same time, we give the expert that teaches the program revenues, which is something like a mixed model between the usual 2 free education that helps university, not experts, or the Udemy model that helps the expert, but it doesn't certify the education. And the distribution model is we usually sell it through online social community media, and well, it's everything based online. I don't know if that was the question.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dost.
Hi, everyone. everyone, I'm Sneha Sheth, and I built Dost to get every child school ready in India. So I had the idea for Dost when I was working in Bombay on a new education reform program. I met hundreds of moms who had never been to school themselves. So they wanted to do whatever it took to get their kids a better education. But they weren't sure how. In Hindi, they would tell me things like, "Main to anpad hu, main kya kar sakti hu?" Meaning, I'm uneducated, so how can I really help my child? But I knew that a parent doesn't have to be educated to have a transformative role in their child's education. Neuroscience tells us it's the simple things, like talking, singing, and playing with kids on a daily basis that stimulate their brain during early childhood and prepare them for school success. I met 100 or 200 moms, right? But in India, there are 150 million illiterate women who want to break their children out of the cycle of illiteracy. And that's where Dost comes in. Dost means friend in Hindi and multiple languages, and we're that reliable friend that calls parents every day with a simple tip or activity to stimulate their child's development or get them ready for school. Once parents sign up for Dost, they receive a 1-minute automated audio message directly on their phones. And the call covers a variety of early learning topics, from cognitive development to social emotional skills, and even practical positive parenting strategies. Now, we've worked with Stanford and other experts to make sure the content is really backed in evidence. But I think the reason moms love the content is because it's really culturally relevant for them and easy to do. So for example, one of the most popular messages tells moms to change the sizes of the rotis they're making for dinner that night. By pointing out big and small rotis, they're teaching their kids a really fundamental pre-numeracy math concept. Because of how simple this is to sign up and actually implement in your life, we've grown 100 times in less than 2 years and served over 30,000 families in India alone. Now, large NGOs, other entities, and even state governments are partnering it with us to bring Dost and a parent engagement platform into their communities. So today, we're poised to reach 500,000 families in the next 2 years. We're raising $1.5 million to achieve that goal and also start moving to a smartphone platform since our user base is increasingly gaining access to that. Our team is full of engineers, educators, entrepreneurs, and we've experienced this problem growing up. So we're pretty obsessed with making a great product. Join me in helping these less literate but super motivated moms change the trajectory of their child's lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Question, go ahead.
How are you measuring the impact of Dost?
How are we measuring the impact?
If you have.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Because our roots are in an EdTech rapid design process kind of mindset, we actually talk to users, hundreds of users every month, and collect impact data on what changes are they seeing in themselves, what changes are they seeing in their child, which activities are easier or harder for them to implement. And we're also getting experts together to help us get to the end grade 1 school readiness results. So that is to come. But the results from the parent assessments are really promising. 70% of parents stay active on the program and really use the platform, which is the first step. And a third of them are highly, highly engaged and tell us things like, my child now listens to me better. I'm seeing a change in my child.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Dost.
Thank you.